Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and welcome to the 29th video in a series of game development tutorials on how to make your own Resident Evil style game in Unity. This tutorial will be covering things like area placement scripts, so as when we can enter a room in the right place, it remembers where we are. Remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial I upload. Feel free to leave a comment and drop a like. I also have a Patreon page where you can help be a part of this channel. You'll find all the scripts and the assets to this series there too, along with plenty of other things. You can also now join as a free member. Now, on with the tutorial. So, last time we had the ability to come between this scene and our second scene. However, when we come back into this scene, it doesn't remember where we are. So we need to create some area placement scripts. And these are vital to each area within any given game, apart from things like the door scenes. So how do we do this? Well, what we need to do is establish certain areas that are going to need, well, let's have more scripting. For example, we need this area here to be mindful of all the cameras, the player, and things we can pick up as well as the zombie. So we need to declare all of these things. So in order to do that, let's go to our scripts folder and let's establish where could we theoretically have this. It doesn't fit in any of these. So let's have a new folder and call it area placements. And in here, let's create a new script. And we'll call this one just A01 underscore placement. And in this script, we're going to need to include quite a few variables, obviously because they're going to be important. They don't necessarily need to be static because other scripts don't need to access the information that is stored here. It can all be stored here in one single place. It just reads information from other places. So, firstly, let's get rid of the update method because we don't need it, and annotations because once again we do not need them. What we do need to start off with is a variable, so serialize field, and it's going to be a game object, and it's going to be the player, because first and foremost, that's the most important thing in the scene, the location of the player. Second, let's have the four cameras. Now, I'm going to define these as four separate game objects, just because it's exclusive to this scene. It's not like we're going to place area 01 placement in a different scene. So we can say serialize field, game object, and we'll just have cam 1. And if we go down, press tab, it automatically does cam 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's 4 cameras in this scene, so that's all we need. Next thing, we need to have serialize field. The other objects that we have in this particular scene is the single zombie. So we'll have zombie pop. He's important. Second, we've got the key, not the key, the gun, haven't we? The gun and its little flashing thing. So let's quickly double check that we are going to have the right things here. So if we click on here, we have the particle system. It's fine. And we also have the gun. So that is going to be 2 objects. Realistically, you could create a bit of an array here, but that's not entirely necessary. So the last 2 variables that we're going to have is serialize field, game object, and it is a handgun we'll have. And finally, serialize field, game object, and we'll have it as handgun flash. The variables are just quick for me to create. It's up to you what you want to call them. So this is where the big important bit comes in. We need to establish at what point do we start doing things differently. Well, it's all based on, and if we go into it, this global control script. So remember these bits here where we have move to scene and previous scene. We need to detect where we are. So that means that if we go to void start and say if global control dot move to scene, open curly bracket, should be equals 1 because we're in scene 01. So if hang on, what's going wrong there? Oh no, nothing's going wrong there. It's all right. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, that's all. So, yes, if globe control.moveScene is equal to 1, then what do we need to do? It means that we've just come into this room from previous one. So, realistically, actually, we should probably have this as previous scene, shouldn't we? So, previous scene is equal to 3. I think that's the better way of doing it. Then it means that we need to set cam1 as inactive. So, cam1 dot set active false, but it does mean that camera 3, let's just quickly check the cameras. So camera 3 is the one facing the door. You might be able to see that on the video. It looks a bit dark, but camera 3 is the one we need to use. So we need to say cam3 dot set active, and in brackets, true. Next thing, we're going to need to change where the player actually is. So although we're coming into the scene and camera 3 will be the one to actually show us, our player is still over the other side of the area. So we need to say the player dot transform dot position equals new vector 3, and in brackets the actual location of where we want our player to be. Now, this is where we need to kind of look around our scene a little bit and establish where the player should be. So obviously he should be here in front of the door. His current location is whatever we have it set as here. So we need to basically move our player over here, move him towards the door, and I'll put roughly where we think he should be. So probably round about there. So we'll say 24.5 or something, and probably 0 on the Z. So that's roughly where he should be. So I'm going to hold control to undo, put him back where he belongs. And now we'll say 24.5 with an F, comma, 0.5 F, and I think I said 0 on the Z, didn't I? So 0, close bracket, semicolon. The rotation of our player also needs to change because he's currently facing this way. But if we had him facing this way through this door, it would look a bit weird. So we need him to be facing towards us right now. So we need to rotate him 90 degrees. So his rotation is currently 180. So to face that way, the way my mouse is going now, needs to be rotation of 270 on the Y. So let's type the player dot transform dot Euler angles. So EULER. And I know that word's pronounced differently by different people. They say Euler, Euler. It doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. It just refers to the rotation of an object. And it needs to be a new vector 3. And in brackets, the rotation values. So 0, 270, and 0. Close bracket, semicolon. And save that script for now. Now, although we have multiple variables that we haven't referenced in this script, it's because currently we don't actually need to. We will absolutely get around to it because there's going to be things that we need to do. For example, when we pick up the handgun, we'll eventually need to modify this placement script to say that if we've picked it up, then it can disappear. And that's where these scripts interact with global control a bit more to tell us what we've picked up and what we haven't. So if we go back into Unity, and let's go to our area control object, and we just need to attach the placement onto here. So A, 01 placement goes onto area control, and then we just need to set those variables. So the player is the soldier. Let's set the 4 cameras. So camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and camera 4. Next is the zombie cop, which is zombie enemy 01. There it is. The handgun, which I cannot remember what we called it. I think it's this one, isn't it? M9. I will double check that. And handgun flash, which is the particle system, which I believe is that. So let's quickly check if that is correct. Nope, that's not the right particle system. Is it that one instead? It is. So let's change that particle system. And let's check that the M9 is indeed that one. It is. Perfect. So like I say, these aren't going to make too much of a difference at the moment. It's all about the placement of where we are and the correct camera. So let's press play. Let's go through the door and come back and make sure that the area placement script does indeed recognize that we have come from previous door and we don't want to start there. Oops, can't control it very well. Let's go through the door. Obviously, we know this bit works. And we should be in. Yep, perfect. So now let's go back through the door. And this is the big moment. We should be stood right by the door with the camera looking directly at us with a zombie coming at us. And we are. Perfect. So that means our area placement script is now working as intended. Let's go back through the door and just make sure this whole sequence does work correctly. And it does. Excellent. So, next tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the gun over here. So I want to start the game without having the gun in our hand. I want us just to turn around, pick up the gun before we can even start firing it. And that will also mean that we need to change things in our area placement script because it means we've picked up something. So it would theoretically disappear. So remember to subscribe and click on that notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial still to come in this series. And I will see you in the next one.